My only real experience with Deus Ex was Human Revolution, which introduced me to a grounded cyberpunk fantasy that blended noir-inspired storytelling and gameplay variety to be a surprising and engaging experience for me. Jumping forward 5 years later, Mankind Divided picks up 2 years after the ambiguous conclusion of Human Revolution. Set in near-future Prague, you once again take on the role of Adam Jensen, a private security officer who now works for Interpol, trying to uncover the perpetrators behind a terrorist bombing. During this, Jensen is also working covertly for a secret hacking group to find the Illuminati, an organization responsible for taking control of augmented humans and causing them to become uncontrollably violent, thus marginalizing augmented citizens from the rest of society. There's a lot of information to take account of, and the game certainly doesn't do the best job of making sense of any of it. In fact, I failed to see the story ever really get off the ground. What appears on paper to be a compelling narrative turns into a series of back and forth conversations that deliver contrived and convoluted details in a dry and monotonous fashion. I had similar problems with Human Revolution, but at least in that game, Jensen's relationships with various characters added a personal investment to the narrative. Here, it feels more like a long-winded pilot rather than a story with a beginning, middle, and end. By the time the conclusion hit, I felt like I was only at the end of a tediously long first act. Those who have a taste for espionage thrillers will probably find enough substance to sustain the illusion, just don't come expecting an actual conclusion. Considering the story drives the central experience, repetitively running around the streets of Prague sucks a lot of joy out of playing it, especially when Jensen's travels never feel meaningful to begin with. However, Mankind Divided's side objectives do provide the added character and emotional pull that's missing from the main story. Side quests feel significantly more involving and bring out a greater sense of adventure and investigation. Two side quests in particular, one involving an illegal drug and the other about a missing agent, provide some genuinely revealing and profound moments that make the world feel more alive. Even just exploring the world brings out some poignant and surprising moments, such as a father desperately trying to contact his daughter or finding a body next to a suicide note in the sewer. These instances of drama carry much of the game, and the way the locations wonderfully capture the tension between augments and pure humans was genuinely intimidating and made me consider how I interacted with the world. It brought me to the point that Mankind Divided works at its very best when you're actually playing it, whereas the main story makes the game feel static. During isolated moments when action does occur, the level design is incredibly integrated to make navigating each area extremely rewarding. Everything feels fittingly organic. If I wanted to, I could talk my way through the front door, I could hack through security terminals, eliminate every guard, or even travel through the roomy ventilation system and essentially bypass every potential obstacle. Choosing between going in guns blazing or taking a non-lethal approach makes the gameplay not only exciting, but also tactical if you use everything at your disposal. Personally, taking the ghost approach and not being seen at all is supremely gratifying and fits more within the context of certain scenarios, and the added XP bonus always made me feel like a sneaky badass. As far as augments are concerned, everything remains the same as before, with the additional augments simply serving as extra add-ons that don't do much to impact the gameplay. Some augments are even just substitutes for weapons from the previous game. I found Icarus Dash and remote hacking useful for my stealth-oriented approach, but sometimes remote hacking in particular can make certain obstacles such as turrets and drones a pushover. Yet, the difficulty adds a much-needed tension to the overall experience. Patrols and enemies are quick enough to pick up on your movements, so waiting for the right moment to strike becomes infinitely more important, especially when things don't always go your way. In all, I find Deus Ex Mankind Divided's central story to hinder the fun of actually playing it. Instances where the player is behind enemy lines or investigating various locations are truly the most remarkable aspects of the game because they allow you to meaningfully interact with the world. The story became an empty void to what are essentially a series of great contained scenarios of tense and thrilling gameplay. There are many of you that will enjoy the story, but in my experience, it felt more like there was so much missing from it that it never felt like a completed package. Yet, if I look past Mankind Divided's narrative abomination and remember the little things, those small fragments of brilliance stop the game from collapsing into a very lifeless experience.